One of the most important and one of the most profound messages about relationships comes from the Gaudiya Vaishnava scriptures. So if you heard of a book called Upadeshamrit or the Nectar of Instruction, okay, Rupa Goswami mentions something very interesting. A lot of things about relationships there, but one verse that everybody would have heard, or if you haven't, today's the day, is about relationships, and that's a very famous verse. It goes, Dadati pratigranati guhyamakhyati prachati bhunkte bhojayate chaiva shadvida priti lakshanam. So Rupa Goswami speaks about 6 things that are important if you want a relationship to work. And they're not like huge things, like life-changing things. You hear them and you go, what's the big deal, you know? I mean, it makes sense. I've heard of these things before. It's not something new. But when you think about it, it's the small things that make a relationship. The big things don't really matter. Even like, I read books, I read some of the outside ISKCON books as well sometimes, because sometimes you can get knowledge from different places that you can use and share in different places. And I read some books, and even experts outside will say that it's not the biggest cause of divorce is not the big fights, it's not the big problems, it's not the big disagreements, it's the small disagreements over a long period of time. Okay, it's the small niggling things that you don't solve. It's the simple things that you just ignore because you're too busy focusing on the big things. Those are the things that eventually cause problems in relationships. And not just in like a married or a wedded relationship, but even in relationships among devotees, even in relationships amongst people, friends, parents, children and parents. It's the small things that usually add up over time, because these small things, what they do is they sort of over time change your perception of the person you're speaking with or the person you're trying to have a relationship with. And over time, what these little things do is they change your perception, so you just start seeing the person in a different way, and then by that time you already lost the plot. It's like anything they say is just annoying now. Okay? It's the little things that add up, and hence if you focus on the small things, then you'll never get to the big problems. So Rupa Goswami speaks about 6 things which are very important. First 2 things, they kind of go in pairs. The first 2 things are offering gifts and receiving gifts. Okay, it's very important. You might think, oh, what's the big deal? But if you think about it, how often do you offer any gifts to your friends? Okay, I know, Rajanath Prabhu for a long time. I know Jagannath Sharan Prabhu for a long time. I don't know, did I ever give you a gift? Maybe. Did I give you a gift? Did you guys give me any gifts? No. It's very simple things. But I think, I don't know, would you like it if I gave you a gift?
I love it.
You love it, isn't it? See, the thing is, I think these simple things are so simple that we forget to do them, isn't it? And it's the simple things that need to be focused on. Giving gifts is very important because it helps someone feel valued. Okay? You can always give gifts on like a big occasion, but when you give a gift just like that, it's like there's no occasion, you don't have a reason to think of me, but you thought of me and you gave me a gift, and I really appreciate that. So that makes a big difference. And along with giving gifts, receiving gifts is also very, very important, to be open to the idea of receiving gifts. And it means, sometimes we're like, no, Prabhu, it's okay, I don't need it. No, just someone's doing something nice, accept it. Gift can be also words of appreciation, is also a gift. Okay, like that. And you have to be open to receiving appreciation as well. Sometimes, have you come across a situation when somebody says something nice, Prabhu, you did amazing, and then you go, no, I didn't do anything, it wasn't me at all, it's nothing. No, just accept it, just say, thank you, I appreciate it, that's nice. And then they also feel like, yeah, it's been valued. So giving and receiving gifts is very important. So think about it, anytime you want to develop a relationship with somebody, okay, with your friends, give them something nice. Even if it's the simplest thing is you can give is words of appreciation. But otherwise, any other gift. So those are the first two things that are spoken about. The other two things are a little bit more complicated, need a little bit more thought, and it's about revealing one's mind in confidence, okay, and inquiring confidentially. So two things: hearing what somebody speaks and also revealing one's mind. And it tends to be difficult because generally you wouldn't go along revealing your mind to anybody and everybody. Okay, you have to have sort of that relationship first, but once you have that relationship, revealing one's mind, talking about serious things, not just shooting the breeze is great, you're talking about, hey, how are you, how's life, all that is great. But when you go a bit deeper, it creates a bond between two people, and it's important. And sometimes somebody was just sharing a letter that we received at Bhaktivedanta Manor just the other day. And we have devotees who kind of, after Aarti, they meet people, and somebody sent a nice letter and they said, there was this one devotee, and I spoke to him, and he didn't say anything. He just heard me for half an hour, and I really appreciate it. He didn't try to preach to me, he didn't try to tell me about this, that, or the other. He just listened to me, and I felt very heard and very acknowledged and appreciated for that. So, being that person who can listen to somebody, but also being open to revealing your mind to somebody and being vulnerable in that situation. Of course, you have to be careful who you do that to, okay? But they're important things if you want a relationship to develop. So, gifts, giving and accepting, revealing one's mind in confidence, and inquiring and hearing what somebody says. And then it's also a very important thing, prasadam. Okay? The last two things is offering prasadam, serving prasadam, and accepting prasadam. Okay, that is also very important. You can have a program at your house or a program like this where you bring prasadam, feed devotees, and then you also go to somebody's house and accept prasadam. I used to do that quite a lot back in the day as a brahmachari. I was a brahmachari at the manor for 10 years. You get invited, you say, Prabhuji, please come and accept prasadam. I'm like, yeah, sure. Why not? It's my favorite service. I'll come. It's a loving exchange, right? Yeah, we got to do it. I'll do it for you. Just for your pleasure, I'll come and accept prasadam at your house. But, so these things are very important. And the point is that it's the little things that you do in day-to-day life that actually help relationships develop. And these kind of work for every relationship. But since Valentine's Day is coming up, like Rajnath Prabhu mentioned, let's speak a little bit about a relationship between partners, okay? And how that works. And I think there are certain misconceptions that people have about marriage, and I know a lot of you are older than me, you probably have more wisdom than me from practical experience, and maybe it's more relevant to the younger lads and the lasses, but maybe I'm sure everybody will get something from it. So, first of all, people think that marriage is a solution, okay? But it's not. Let me tell you a story. There was a man who wanted to get fit. Okay, he wanted to get fit. So what did he do? He bought a treadmill. Okay, so he had the treadmill, and he got a treadmill in his house, and few weeks later, he came to the conclusion that the treadmill was broken because he wasn't getting any fitter than he was. Okay? So he was telling his friend, so his friend asked him like, well, how often do you use it? He goes, I don't. And he said, well, what's the point? He goes, well, because somebody suggested if you want to get fit, get a treadmill. So I got a treadmill. But it's not, what's wrong with that? He followed advice. Yes, that's what people say, like people tell me, you want to get fit, go to the gym. Okay? What do you think of that? Do you think you'll get fit if you go to the gym? Well, you will if you do something, but if you just go to if you want to get fit, get a gym membership. Okay, great, you get a membership, but if you don't go, it's not going to work. Now, let me tell you one thing, okay? Whether you're married or not married, or looking to get married, or thinking about marriage in the future, let me tell you an important fact. Marriage is not there to make you happy. Okay, that is not the purpose of marriage. You know what the purpose of marriage is? Marriage is there to get you married. Okay? It's not there to make you happy. Marriage is there to get you married, and once you're married, you find yourself in a safe situation, in a very secure situation, and from there, it gives you a good grounding to be happy now that you're all safe and married. That's what the purpose of marriage is. So sometimes people think that, oh, I'm alone, you watch too many Bollywood films. Nowadays you get all these, you can go to ChatGPT and it'll make a poster for you like you. My wife sent me this today. You probably can't see it. Maybe she probably won't like me sharing this, but she, because everybody's been doing it, so she took a picture of her and put it in ChatGPT and said, "Can you make a poster of me in a Bollywood film?" So it's just like, I mean, some of you can't see, but try it, okay? I know ChatGPT uses like tons of energy and it's killing the planet, but it's good fun, so you can try it. Just, like if you watch too many Bollywood films, you will see, or even Hollywood. Well, Hollywood is kind of more real. Bollywood is a bit more fantasy. It's like living in fairyland, and I kind of feel sorry for children who are brought up in India. You see, Bollywood, what the Muslims didn't do in 700 years and what the British couldn't do in 300 years, Bollywood has done in 50 years, completely destroyed Vedic culture. Okay, all these kids are growing up living in fairyland and they think Bollywood is real, and they're growing up thinking, one day, my prince is going to come on a horse and he's going to come and save me, and then we're going to be happily ever after. And I don't know, these Bollywood films don't make sense. You watch Bollywood films? You've seen some films, isn't it? There's like certain things there's like no explanation about. I remember there's a South Indian hero, I remember, Rajnikant. Have you heard of him? Have you watched his films? Absolutely ridiculous. He'll be running and he'll be on top of like a 15-story building, okay? And then he just jumps down and he just lands on his feet and carries on. It's like, there's no like explanation of like how that happened. It's like this, okay, it's not like he's a superhero or something. I even saw a film where he was running, okay, and he was chasing these two guys, okay? And he had a gun, so and they had done something anyway, so he wanted to shoot them. Not a nice thing to do, but anyway, he took his gun out and he checks, and there's only like one bullet. So then he finds a knife. He's got a knife as well. So he shoots, and then he throws the knife, and the knife splits the bullet into two, and one part hits one guy, the other hits other guy, and they're both gone. Okay, well, and there's like no explanation to it. And then there's another one I saw, again Rajnikant, okay? So he's running, and there's this guy, and then he jumps over a wall, okay? So he throws his gun. He throws his gun over the wall, and then takes another gun and shoots the trigger, and that gun hits the other guy, and it's like, it's ridiculous, absolutely ridiculous. That's why I stopped watching Bollywood films about when I was like 18. I think I started at 17. I stopped at 18. I'm like, this isn't making any sense. But people are growing up watching Bollywood films, and they have this fairy tale idea of what a marriage is, and they think, I'll get married, I'll be the heroine, he'll be the hero, or the other way around, or whatever. It doesn't work like that. That's not what marriage is there for. If you're thinking, I'm sad, I'm lonely, okay? If you get married, you'll also be sad and lonely. Sorry to break the news to you, but the point is that the purpose of marriage is to get you married. It's because you're faffing around when you're single, okay? You're trying to figure out what to do and stuff like that. So at least it puts you in a grounded position, but it's not there to make you happy. You're in a grounded position, now you have the support and security of a Grihastha ashram, and it is still up to you to be married. Your wife or your husband is not going to fix your problems, and your wife or your husband, it's not their responsibility to make you happy. Okay? Your happiness is your responsibility, and it'll always be your responsibility. It puts too much pressure on your partner. You're expecting them to do things for you to make you happy. It doesn't work like that. Instead, if you're happy, if you use the situation that you created in a marriage to be happy, okay, that happiness will actually make your partner feel secure and happy, and you'll have a good marriage. But if you're always expecting your partner to do something for you to make you happy, and you're both relying on each other, it creates this strange dynamic, and it just never really works. So first of all, my first sort of point is that change your perspective, change how you see a relationship. It's not a fairy tale. It's not an automatic fix that is just going to fix all your problems. I was a brahmachari. I thought, hey, maybe I'll get married and then I'll be happy. I got married. Was I happy? No. Don't tell my wife. Okay. But you have to work. You have to work on your marriage. And then my wife thought, I'll have a baby and then I'll be happy. We had a baby. Is she happy? No. Don't tell the baby. The point is, none of these things are going to make you happy. They're good. I'm not saying they're pointless. They're important because you need to do things in your life to fulfill what you need to do. And every step you make, every decision you make is creating a situation, and it's giving you extra things that you can use, extra opportunities that you can utilize to be happy in that situation. But it's not an automatic fix. So if you got an idea that I get married and marriage is the answer to all your problems, then that's wrong. If you got problems now, you'll have problems later. You need to deal with those problems one way or another. Okay? Marriage is not going to make you happy. That's why sometimes, I don't know, it doesn't happen so much in Indian communities. Like, I used to live in India before, and the only place, believe it or not, if you lived in India, I think back in the day, whatever, you would know, the only place I kind of heard of divorce was in films. I'd never really met anybody who was divorced ever, living in India. I moved out of India when I was 20, 21. Never really heard of anybody. Here, it's like it's sort of like a surprise in the West if a family is together. You know, if the parents are together, everybody I meet is like the family is separated. So you get married, and then, you know, you make mistakes, and then you say, okay, you know, everything was okay, but it was my partner's fault. I was happy in my life till she came along, or he came along. I thought it would be good, but it didn't quite work out like that. And then so now, if we separate, I'll find another partner, and that'll be good. Okay? Do you think it works? Doesn't work. You know why? Because you never fixed your mistake in the first place. The problem wasn't your partner. The problem was you and the way you approach things. Of course, there's always problems in dynamics and stuff like that. But you don't fix the problem, you marry somebody else, you got the same problem. And then that doesn't work, and you marry somebody else, and you got a problem. You see all these, you hear in the Hollywood arena, isn't it? Relationships last on an average, it is said about 4 to 5 years. Okay, every 4 or 5 years, you know, they'll find a different partner. If somebody's married for like 10 years, 12 years, it's like a big deal. Okay? So don't expect that being married is going to fix your problems. Don't expect that being married is the answer to all your problems. And you should always remember about self-care. Your happiness is your responsibility. Don't put that away and stop thinking about it. Don't put that burden on your partner, but take that upon yourself to see that where you are lacking and what you need. And if you fix those things, if you focus on some self-love, and if you try and sort yourself out, you will actually radiate that energy, you will radiate that happiness to other people, and you will actually be helping other people be happy in whatever relationship you're in. So first thing, marriage isn't there to make you happy. Okay, that's my one point. I kind of work on 3 points. That's kind of my sort of style. When many years ago, about 15 years ago, I had to give my first class in the temple room. They asked me to give class, and I didn't know. I'd never given a class before in my life. So I asked Kripamoya Prabhu, my spiritual master, I said, do you have any tips? He said, yeah, just mention 3 things. He goes, generally, most people don't remember more than 3 things. And even if they do, it's like 3 things means things are very clear. So everywhere somebody asks me to speak, I kind of stick to 3 things. There's more and more we can talk, but 3 things is generally enough. So first, okay, you know the first one, okay? What is the first one? Marriage is not the solution. Marriage is not there to make you happy, okay? Now, before I move to the second one, does anyone have any comments or questions or thoughts or anything like that from the first topic? Or would you like to inquire confidentially later on? whatever works for you. Any questions, any thoughts, comments, anything at all?
When marriage is not the solution,
Yeah,
marriage is not going to be making one happy.
yeah.
I'm talking from my kids' perspective. What if they think like this? Then why should one get married? Because I know if I tell them this, they'll
Yeah.
ask this question back to me.
Yeah, very good, thank you. So, if marriage is not the solution, why should one get married? You see, in Vedic culture, there are 4 ashrams. Okay, the first ashram is called a brahmachari ashram, which means one stays celibate, one studies and learns things, stays in the temple. We have so many brahmacharis, but otherwise, student life in general. Okay, the second ashram is when you get married. Why should people get married? Because if you don't get married, then you'll faff around, okay? You will sort of, the mind has a tendency, once you get to puberty, once you get to a certain age, one needs a partner to be able to share things with. And if you don't get that, your mind becomes sort of unfulfilled, or there's always a sort of instability in your mind. And you will notice that sometimes when people don't get married, but they're not in the brahmachari ashram, then sometimes you notice that it's possible. It's not like it's an impossible thing, but generally it is said that if one is not a brahmachari, he should be a grihastha. If you're not in the ashram, you should always be part of an ashram. That is generally said, because it helps you be more stable, it gives you fulfillment. And the thing is, it creates a fertile ground for you to create that happiness from that environment. And that's why it's important. So it's not the solution. It's just like buying a treadmill is not a solution, or getting a gym membership is not a solution. Okay? Getting a gym membership will not make you fit. But once you have a gym membership, you have access to all the equipment, you can go, you can work, and you can get fit. In the same way, just going through a ceremony and getting married will not make you happy. But once you're married, you have the support of a partner, you can work together, it creates stability in your life, and then that environment gives you the opportunity to be happy if you do things in a certain way, like that.
Fulfill the duties of that certain ashram as well.
Yeah. Yeah, ashram means shelter. That's why there are 4 ashrams. So in the first ashram, brahmachari ashram, you're in the shelter of the temple or in the shelter of the guru. The second ashram, you're in shelter of that environment with your husband or your wife that gives you protection. Okay. The third ashram is vanaprastha ashram, where again you sort of focusing. You're kind of done with your grihastha life after about 25 years. You probably, don't want to see your partner's face after that because you kind of had too many arguments and too many whatever, and then it's kind of time to sort of, focus on spiritual things and take the focus away from family life. You've done your bit, you had your children, they're grown up, you put your energy there. Now it's time to start focusing on spiritual growth. That's vanaprastha ashram. And sannyas means, which is a 4th ashram, where you're sharing with the world what you know. So there's always ashram, and it's said that one should always be under the shelter of an ashram like that. So that is the purpose of marriage, to create an ashram, to give you shelter, and to help you be stable, have protection, have a partner, and that will help you create happiness. But it's not an automatic solution, in the same way that getting a gym membership or a treadmill is not a solution. You have to still put effort into it. Okay, so that's number 1. Did the mics on? Is that because for a reason? Maybe if people have questions like that. Future questions, okay. Let's move on to the second one. The second point I had to say is, let me see. I made some notes, so I remember. Okay. Oops. Okay. Now, here's an interesting one, okay? This is a very interesting one. Everybody has a way in which they feel appreciated, and it's different for everybody. There was a book written a long time ago by somebody, I don't know, but he spoke about love languages. You heard that? You know, sometimes, I don't know, if you come across situations where, or maybe you just heard about situations where, you know, one partner is doing so much, and then the other partner just goes, "What have you even done for me all these years?" It's like, "I've literally done everything, like I'm doing everything in my life to help you, I'm doing this, that, and everything else." And then after that, you know, the person goes, "Well, you haven't done anything for me." So why is that? Because these things happen. And it's not that they're not doing anything, okay? They're obviously doing things that are needed. But at the same time, unless you do things in a way that person feels loved and appreciated, it may not register. You may not get the same points, okay? Obviously, it's not a points game, but the point is that it's not a points game. But you need to do things in a way that people feel loved and appreciated. So there are 5 love languages which you all know, and everybody feels if you reciprocate with them in the way they feel loved, then you scored a point. But if you try to love them in the way you think is good for you, that's great. You're doing something, but they may not feel the same reciprocation. And sometimes I've seen that in many, many cases. I've heard in many, many cases that people feel like, yeah, I don't really connect with him. He does nothing for me. And then I've spoken to the person, they're like, I literally do so much. But it's not in the way they appreciate it. So I'm sure you know, there are 5 love languages. Can you tell me about it? Maybe we can have a shout out. Gifts. Okay, gifts. So Rupa Goswami also mentions gifts. So somebody may feel more appreciated when you give them a gift like that, isn't it? Okay, so gifts is one. Which are the other ones? Time. Okay, quality time. So somebody who feels loved when you spend quality time with them may not feel so loved if you give them a gift. They'll be like, okay, that's nice, that's a gift. But that doesn't really register if their love language is time. For them, you don't even need to give gifts. You just need to sit down and just spend time with them. I know my wife is like that, which is great because it saves me a lot of money on like anniversaries and birthdays and stuff. It's like gifts is not her love language. That is another thing. You see, when you find a partner, if you want to save money, find a partner whose love language is not gifts. Otherwise you'll be broke. But so choose wisely. What are the other ones?
Praise and recognition.
Praise and recognition, or words of appreciation, words of affirmation, like that. Yeah, you just need to acknowledge what they do, and they want to feel appreciated. They want to hear things. I love you. Yeah, I know. Yeah, but you never say it. It's like okay. I'm doing so many things in my life. Yeah, but you never say it. Okay, so for some people it's like they need to hear things, okay, words of affirmation. There's 2 more. Service, yeah, acts of service. Some people feel very loved and appreciated when you do acts of service, do something nice for them. Okay, and there's 1 more somewhere I'm missing. There's 5, isn't it? I wrote them down. Touch, yeah, that's right, physical touch. That's also a money saver. Okay, physical touch. So like that, you touch them a little bit, pat their head, or whatever you need to do. Well, the point is that it's a very important thing. It sounds like trivial, but it is actually a very important thing. How do you know what your partner's love language is? You ask them. Okay, you ask them. So if you haven't had this conversation yet, okay, and if some of you are thinking that I haven't really asked my wife, but I'm like 60 now, is there a need? Yes, maybe she's been waiting all this time for the last 35 years to, maybe she just stuck around with you because that's what Indian women do. But just ask them, like, what is your love language? How do you feel loved and appreciated? And try and do it. And maybe the women are laughing because they know it's true, isn't it? So Okay, just whenever, whether you have a partner now or you find a partner later or whatever, just make sure, ask them, what's your love language? What makes you feel loved and appreciated? And then try and reciprocate in that way. Otherwise, you'll be putting effort in the wrong place. Okay? And it's great, you think you're doing a lot, and it leads to confusion. It's a very trivial thing, but it makes a huge difference, and it's important. So that was number 2. Okay? Love language, just make sure you know. Now this third one, this is very interesting. When you get married, you will fight, you will argue. The intensity can vary. Sometimes it's just a verbal argument, sometimes it's pots and pans, whatever. I think every couple has like a, fight language as well, isn't it? Just like this love languages. Maybe there's 5 types of fight languages. Maybe you just this. I'm making these up, but maybe one is like just full on like argument. That could be a fight language. Another fight language is where you just stop talking to each other. Okay, that's also a fight language. Then there's pots and pans. You throw things at each other and like not very nice. And usually happens in films, but could happen sometimes. So there's arguments are something that you can't avoid. It's very interesting because before you get married, everything is like roses and like, harps and angels in the sky and sunshine and Bahamas and everything in your head. And once you get married, it kind of just turns into England, isn't it? Like grey skies and, and then, Hare Krishna. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Thank you. So, so after you get married, I remember when we got married, we just pretty much argued every day for like a month. Yeah. Anyway, so it was all right. Just kind of get through it because you're still newly married, so there's enthusiasm. So don't think that when you get married, it's like it's all going to be the same. No, you will, because you're coming together, and there'll be differences on how you deal with things. So you will argue, you will fight, and it's okay. And even after like 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, 30 years, you will fight. Okay, the frequency may reduce, but the arguments will be there. There's no getting away from arguments, isn't it? Yeah, there's no getting away from arguments. So what's important is not to stop an argument or a fight, because that means you're kind of withdrawing from the situation. That's not nice. Have a fight, okay? It's because after a while, you're, especially in Krishna consciousness, we follow all these regulative principles. You need to make your married life entertaining. So, I guess fight is the way to go. You can't do much more anyway. So fight's the way to go. So have your argument, but what you need to do, anyway, I'm not promoting arguments and fights. What I'm saying is that you need to learn how to handle a conflict. Because whether you want a conflict or not, conflicts will happen. So you need to learn how to handle a conflict. Okay, how do you deal with the conflict? That's very important. Now, whenever there is a conflict, usually there is a big surge of emotions, isn't it? It's like fights are usually very emotional. There's no such thing as a logical fight. Okay, you don't like Jai Shishi Gaur Nitai Ki Jai. So there's no like logical fight. It's not like, if myself and, Jagannath Sharan Prabhu are having an argument, we're not going to like think like, right, what's the best way to do this, like, work out a logical argument and have like a calm debate. No, fights are usually full of emotions, okay? It's like a whole emotional thing. Now, here's something I worked out, okay? So this is my strategy. You won't find it in any book. I got a 3 questions to ask. Okay? Before you go and shout at your partner, okay? There's 3 questions you should ask yourself. Okay? I'm telling you, this is the first time I'm saying this out in public. I kind of made this up. Okay? 3 questions to ask. Question number 1. You won't find these anywhere else, okay? I'm going to write a book on this at some point. But question number 1 to ask yourself, am I hungry? Okay? No, I'm not joking. Hear me out. Because if you're hungry, then your emotions are sort of like very supercharged. So So ask yourself, before you want to go and shout at your wife or your husband and tell them whatever you want to say, which never ends up nicely, trust me, you ask yourself, you want to say, yo, you always do this, you do this, da 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 da. No, wait, stop. Just ask yourself, am I hungry? If the answer to that is yes, go to the kitchen, okay? Have a cake, sit down calmly, make a pudla or whatever it is that you do, and have a dosa or whatever, have a cake, and okay. So after that, if you're still feeling like, I still need to say it, okay? Then ask question number 2. Am I tired? Do I need to take a nap? Maybe I'm tired, maybe I just need to sleep, okay? So go have a nap, okay? Sleep for half an hour, okay? Take some rest, and then afterwards, if you're still feeling, after you wake up, and you're still feeling like, the next question to ask is, have I chanted my rounds? Okay? If you haven't chanted your rounds, go and chant your rounds. Finish your rounds. And I guarantee you, after that, you will most likely think, it wasn't that important anyway. Let's leave it. Or you would certainly say it with less emotion. Okay? And you won't escalate the fight. A lot of times we say things, and the problem with saying things is once you say things, you said it. Okay, it's gone. Chanakya Pandit says that words are like an arrow leaving a bow. Okay? When the arrow leaves, once the arrow's left the bow, you think, oh no, I made a mistake. No, it's done. It's like it's going to do its damage. It's going to hit something somewhere and do its damage. So once you're in like this emotional state, and you say something, people will remember it. Okay, your partner will remember it. You may patch it up, you may say sorry later on, you may apologize, but it's like you make a cut, okay? It still leaves a scar, isn't it? Like that. You can fix it. Better not to say it, okay? But you need to stop yourself somehow. So I worked out this 3-question thing, okay? Am I hungry? Go and eat something. Am I tired? Go and take a nap. Number 3, have I chanted my rounds? No, go and chant your rounds. And by that time, you'll be completely calm. You'll look at the situation differently, okay? And then maybe your response will be different. So, and if you learn the art of disagreeing, okay? If you learn the art of disagreeing, you'll save yourself a lot of trouble in your marriage, okay? There are certain places, I haven't quite found a reference to this, but I heard it from Kripamoy Prabhu. I should ask him. Maybe it's in one of the Puranas or something. But it talks about what is the difference between a human and an animal. What's the difference between a human and an animal? It's interesting. It reminds me of a story as well. This one's, Akbar and Birbal? Okay, Akbar was a king. Birbal was his minister. He's very smart. And once Akbar asked Birbal, he said, what is the difference between you and a donkey? Okay, what is the difference between you and a donkey? So he measures the distance between him and the king, and he says 5 feet. Okay, so the king is very impressed. So Birbal was known to be very witty. So the Puranas say the difference between a human and an animal is 10 seconds. Okay? Because animals work on instinct. Okay? If an animal sees something, it'll do what its instincts normally tells it to do, okay? If a dog sees a tire, okay, it wants to go pee on the tire, okay? It's not gonna there's not much thought that goes behind, oh, that's a new tire, let's go, or a lamppost, or whatever, or if a dog sees something, sees another dog, it wants to go sniff, sniff, or it'll bark, okay? Animals work on instinct. When they have a certain instinct, they go and do it. There's no thought behind it. But what humans have is the ability to stop, think about it, and then respond like that, based on that thought. So it says that's what differentiates a human from an animal. Just a few seconds of thought, because animals can't do that, but humans have the ability to do that. So there's no problem disagreeing with your partner, but if you get into a whole heated, emotional argument, it's not going to do anyone any good. You need to learn the art of stopping, doing something else, calming down, and then having that discussion with your partner, and that'll save you a lot of trouble. Fight you will, okay? It's inevitable. It's part of married life. But if you learn the art of disagreeing, then it works really well. So those were the three things I could think of. First was just understand marriage from the right perspective. It's not the solution to all your problems. If you get married, it doesn't mean you're going to be happy. You'll still find yourself in the same situation afterwards as well. Although it will give you a certain grounding, but you'll still need to put in the work. Number two is when you respond, when you work with your partner, when you have your relationship with your partner, do something in a way they appreciate, according to their love language. Speak to them, find out what it is. And these little everyday things is what helps build a good relationship. You don't have to give them like a big party on their birthday or your anniversary. It's the little things that usually people appreciate. And the third thing is learn how to deal with conflicts. When you disagree with something, don't get into a heated emotional debate. Keep your mouth shut. Don't shout. Go and eat something, take a nap, chant your rounds, come back and then discuss it. Don't get into a whole heated argument. If you learn the art of navigating conflicts, then you'll do really well. And we also spoke about 6 loving exchanges between devotees. So whether, try it. Maybe you should do like a ISKCON Red Bridge Secret Santa, or, where everybody gives gifts to everybody else, and like that. So giving and receiving gifts, revealing one's mind in confidence. Everybody should have somebody they can reveal their mind to. Okay? If you don't have that somebody, then I think you should find that somebody. It's important. And also, our third thing was prasadam, which I guess happens, but you can do it more. So, that was my thing on relationship, but how long do we have for questions? 10 minutes? Okay. Does anyone have any questions, comments? Shri Shri Gaur Nitai ki jai. What are the names of the deities? Nitai Gaurachandra. Nitai Gaurachandra ki jai. Okay, any questions? We have 10 minutes. If you have any questions, or if you have any comments on something you heard, or if you want to add something to it, or maybe if you don't agree with something I said, that's also okay. Or maybe you want to share your own insights or wisdom, anything at all. Any Rajnikant movies you watched? Anybody? Okay. Jagannath Sharan Prabhu, and then Prabhuji there also has a question.
Yeah.
Do you want to use this mic? Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you.
Oh.
That was also off.
Maybe it's just you.
I wanted to ask about the love languages.
Yeah.
Do you have any insights you could share on? Because I feel like maybe they expand to other things. Like I'm thinking about my mum likes it when she can cook for me.
Right.
But I'm trying to figure out, I guess that's receiving gifts or quality time. So I'm just trying to unpack how you can further categorize the love languages, because it seems there's other things as well.
Yeah. Thank you. What other ways can we categorize? I think somebody came up with those 5. They are sort of like broad categories, but I think the essence of the point is that do something in the way they appreciate it. And it may not strictly fit within these 5 things. It may be whatever they like. I think that's, I don't know, I can't think of any further categories, but the essence of the information is that you have to express your love in a way they feel loved. Like that. I don't know if that's what you wanted to. Prabhuji has a question at the back.
Hare Krishna. Um, Two observations. One, if there were no arguments in a relationship, it would be like a flat line. Yeah, it's like a heartbeat. Yeah, there's always going to be that. So that keeps a relationship alive.
So, sorry, if there is an argument in a relationship, it'll be
It keeps the relationship alive.
Okay,
Yeah, otherwise it'd be a flat line.
okay. So you're
Yeah.
saying it's a good thing?
There's always going to be a difference of opinion,
always-
yeah.
okay.
So that's going to be that, yeah.
Yeah.
And second thing is like you said, the giving the gift. You actually give us the greatest gift, and that's the gift of time. Yeah, when you come and share, that's the gift of time, and I think we forget that the gift of giving somebody your time is so important. Yeah. So that's what I wanted to share.
Yeah. Thank you. Oh, thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Yeah. Your love language is definitely quality time.
No, sorry.
Was there somebody else? Yeah. Yes, please.
Yeah, Hare Krishna. Thank you for the talk. I really like your de-escalation tools for arguments. That's really good. I got a question. So it's about ego in a relationship, and I guess it's how do you manage ego on both sides? So the person who's arguing and the person who's listening to taking the argument. And I remember once someone said to me, most people are dealing with this emotion when they're in an argument. So one is, who do you think you are? And do you know who I am? Yeah, but I don't know how to deal with that. How do you resolve that? I wanted to get your thoughts on that.
Yeah. Thank you. Arguments are always emotional things, isn't it? And kind of arguments come from a place of ego to start with, because we think we're right, they think they're right. Handling ego, see, my understanding is that you can only handle yours. You don't have much control over how the other person sees it. But generally what happens is, if you go and push that wall over there, the harder you push, it's going to push back harder at you. And ego is a little bit like that. The more we push with our ego, it's sort of the other person creates like a defense mechanism, and they push back harder because their ego doesn't want to get hurt. So I think you don't have a control over the other person's ego, but I think if you manage to sort of understand, control your emotion, and sort of lower your ego and de-escalate from your side, then I think automatically the other person won't feel the need to be so defensive, and then they will slow down and sort of de-escalate the situation. So we can't directly control their thing, but I think if we learn to take the humble position in an argument, whoever is conscious, ideally both of them, but even if one person does that, it'll definitely stop some damage from happening and de-escalate the situation. It just needs one person to stop. If you don't push the wall, it's not going to push you back. That's my understanding. Any other thoughts or questions or comments? Yes, please.
Hi, Hare Krishna. If over a long period of time you don't resolve the unresolved conflicts, then that tends to just stagnate. So in that scenario, you get to a position where, people are entrenched in their views, and if you're not being humble about it, then it does disturb the equilibrium. Any thoughts there?
So, okay, just so I understand, so if you don't resolve certain things, it tends to stagnate. So when you say, I'm just trying to understand stagnate, does that mean that you just sort of pushed it down and it's still there niggling in the background, or do you mean like it's forgotten about?
Not forgotten about. The underlying currents are still there, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't they resurface.
Yeah, exactly.
So I think, you know, in any relationship, whether it be your significant one or anyone,
Yeah,
unresolved conflict always comes back.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's the point. So every niggling thing that is unresolved sort of stays within you, and it sort of starts over time changing your perception of how you see the other person, isn't it? So it is important to resolve those. And do you mean like maybe it's happened quite a while ago and we haven't dealt with it? Do you want to go back and deal with it now, something that happened a long time ago? Is that something what you mean?
I actually think one of the points you made earlier was quite significant, which is that, you know, none of us are perfect, right? So we all have our own internal unresolved things,
Yeah.
and then sometimes we're deflecting, aren't we?
Yeah.
So I'm guilty of it,
Yeah.
like anyone.
Yeah.
But so if you're but either way, you know, we have to look in the mirror.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I know. I've been in situations as well where somebody does something. You're spending time with. I remember there was this when I was a brahmachari. I was traveling with this one other person, and he kept doing things that were annoying, but they weren't like big things, but they were like things that were annoying, and I kept getting annoyed, but I didn't want to start a conflict, so I kind of kept it within me, and it kind of went on for days and days and days, and he would usually make fun of me about different things, and I would just like not say anything. And then one day it just came out all in one go. Like I was like, why do you keep doing that? You've been doing like this for days and da-da-da-da-da. And this guy couldn't make head or tail of it. He was like, what's wrong with this guy, you know? But it's sort of, so something like that, if we sort of don't deal with things, because I even started seeing this person in a different way. Like I wanted to go traveling with him, but over time it's like, I felt like, oh, I don't want to be near this person anymore. It sort of changes your perception over time. So it's very important if you have like things that are disturbing you from within, I think it's important to deal with that and speak to that person, whoever that person is, before it becomes like a really emotional outburst of something, and maybe resolve it before it gets too big. But yeah, very good points. Thank you. Thank you. Do we have time for more? Or one more. Okay. One final one. Does anyone have anything to share? Yes, Mataji.
I don't have a question, but I would like to put some views of mine with my
Sure.
experience in life and
Sure.
my marriage.
Just wait for the mic.
Sorry. Hare Krishna. So yeah, so I will say that with my experience, I've realized as we grow, you know, and we reflect upon like when I'm 25 and I got married, you know, oh, this, that. And now I realize so many things which I did good, and I'm thankful to Krishna. He gave me that consciousness at that age. But some things where I slipped. And now I have got the wisdom, I would have done it better, you know. I'm being very honest. So I don't leave a chance to share it with my husband and tell him that, you know, this is what now I think if it would happen today, I'll be more patient, I'll be more this, even if it's not justified, you know, what happened was wrong or whatever, but still I would have more wisdom, but not, I'm mature now, but at that age I was maybe justified dealing with it whatever way I dealt with, but it is always nice to share and to say that you have realized so and so, and you know, not always trying to justify your actions, you know, to justify that this is what I've realized and I wish if I could have done it better. I think these things is these sort of discussions and self-reflection talks with your husband or your wife, like Prabhuji saying, undercurrent, you know, underlying, because there are so many things which you feel but you don't say. So these things sort of dilute, dissipate a lot with honest conversations, keeping aside your ego.
Yeah, amazing. Yeah, very good point you brought up there. It also just reminds me is the art of apology. Like how to apologize is also like a big thing. And usually what we do when we apologize is, you know what, I'm really sorry, but I was only trying to like do this for you and I was trying to... No, that's not an apology. When you apologize, Just leave all the other bits out. It's like, I'm sorry, shouldn't have done it like that. Leave it. Don't get into a whole story of explaining your perspective and your side of the situation and being defensive. Yes, I'm sorry, but I was trying to do this was my thinking. And no, it's not that. When an apology is an apology. You say, I'm sorry, Hare Krishna. I shouldn't have done it like that. That's an apology. So it's also like learning the art. Otherwise, it kind of nullifies the apology like that. So anyway, Hare Krishna. Thank you.